With all the AI news spinning around, there's always a lot of negative news, but we have a very positive updates in the generative AI space. So I wanted to share this news with all of us because I'm sure you guys feel the same in sentiment, or maybe similar. This is a post by TuneHive posted March 3rd in 2026, and it reads, AI generated artwork officially is ineligible for copyright protection as the US Supreme Court declined to review an appeal case. The court rules that artwork needs to have a human creator in order to be eligible. You heard that right. That is big, big news in the generative AI space because a lot of times people are trying to claim, like, oh, well, I have copyright to this because I came up with the idea, even though, like, AI made the thing that with stolen stuff, stolen artwork, and things like that. So let's dive into this because this is a very interesting situation because it involves like a personal AI, actually, kind of. So this is the article written by Reuters, written by Blake Britton, posted March 2nd. US Supreme Court declines to hear dispute over copyrights for AI generated material. So this is about somebody by the name of Stephen Thaler, who had appealed to the Copyright Office actually multiple times over this. So this is the document from the Copyright Review Board, February 14th, 2022, which is, I think it's just funny also that it was Valentine's Day. But this is about a second request for reconsideration for refusal to register the art piece. So this is the work in question, which Thaler titled A Recent Entrance to Paradise. So basically in 2018, Thaler tried to get this copyrighted, and the background from my understanding of this is that he has something called a creativity machine, which is like the AI that he made back around this time. And he attests that the image, quote, was autonomously created by a computer algorithm running on a machine, end quote. And note this specifically. He was, quote, seeking to register this computer generated work as a work for hire to the owner of the creativity machine, end quote. So basically, he wanted to copyright it in the sense that like his machine learning bot was his freelancer, I guess, that generated this image, that he hired the bot to do it so that he would then retain the copyright to the work, which is interesting. Look, if you work for a company, you are a freelancer, a lot of times they make you sign a contract. The work you do for them is owned by them because they hired you to do this job and that you don't own it. So I think maybe that is what he was arguing here. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, so don't take what I say with legal fact, okay? So note this, August 12th, 2019, the US Copyright Office said that, quote, it lacks the human authorship necessary to support a copyright claim, end quote, which again is affirming the fact that like AI generated artworks and other materials cannot be copyrighted because there is no human process involved. Now, Thaler resubmitted actually to the Copyright Office in 2019. The Copyright Office reevaluated, came back with the same conclusion, and was like, yeah, you still didn't prove to me that like a human process was used. So the refusal of the first request happened March 30th, 2020. So then Thaler put in a second request where he cited that the Copyright Office's statements were unconstitutional. And Thaler basically stated that, quote, there is no binding authority that prohibits copyright for computer generated works. Basically where it says here is that the board is like, yeah, so we agree that this image was computer made by artificial intelligence with zero input from a human. And a bunch of other court cases were cited in this document. But if you go to the very bottom, essentially the TLDR is, yeah, nope, we're still not hearing you out. You still don't get copyright over this. But this article states that on Monday, because it looks like Thaler tried escalating that now to the Supreme Court because the lower US Copyright Office was like not listening to him, right? So this article adds that on Monday, March 2nd, the US Supreme Court declined to hear Thaler out because remember, again, Thaler tried escalating it twice, in the Copyright Office. The Copyright Office held firm on the fact that it could not be copyrighted. He tried escalating it and the Supreme Court's like, yeah, no, I'm not listening to you, bro. Not listening to this, not dealing with this. And this basically goes to show on its own that this refusal from the Supreme Court office to hear his copyright arguments basically solidifies, for the most part, at least this is my interpretation, right, that AI can't be copyrighted. because they don't even want to hear the case out. And this Reuters article adds that the Copyright Office has separately rejected bids by artists for copyrights on images generated by Midjourney. And the artists argued they were entitled to copyright because it was created with AI assistance, which is unlike what Thaler said. Thaler said his AI generated it all on its own, independently. But their argument was like, oh, but like there was a human process involved. I put in a prompt. And the Copyright Office still rejects those bids. They don't want to hear it out. And Thaler wasn't happy. He told the Supreme Court that it was of paramount importance considering the rapid rise of AI. And his lawyer said, quote, even if it later overturns the Copyright Office's test in another case, it will be too late. The Copyright Office will have irreversibly and negatively impacted AI development and use in the creative industry during critically important years, end quote. And also the article notes that Thaler has submitted other requests for copyrighting AI inventions, and the Supreme Court also rejected that. Going back to the original Twitter post, the comments were so funny. We've got comments with this art piece. Another commenter says, studios that replace their art teams with AI just found out none of their output is copyrightable. The 14-year-old on Roblox hand-drawing UGC items owns more IP than they do. That is hilarious. And another person says, even they're saying, quote, you didn't make it if you told AI to draw this and that for you, end quote. This is another quote from the Reuters article where the administration said, quote, although the Copyright Act does not define the term author, multiple provisions of the act make clear that the term refers to a human rather than a machine. This was funny. Me and the boys on our way to take every AI-generated artwork, game concept, and song and claim it as ours. And other people are adding, this ruling makes total sense. Copyright exists to incentivize human creativity. If there's no human author behind the work, the entire premise of protection breaks down. So what are your thoughts about this ruling? I just wanted to share this with you guys because, again, in the age of like doom and gloom with AI, it's always like AI is stealing our jobs, this, that, third, want to share some positive, happy news. And hearing that the US Supreme Court literally is like dusting their hands with this guy being like, we don't want to hear about copyright for your work. We're not listening to it. This is something that's very positive in the art space where it's like, okay, there's some hope left. You know what I mean? So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. I've been learning how to crochet, so this is a new shrug that I recently crocheted. I'm slowly getting better. The armholes are a little tight, but you know what? Too lazy to fix it now. I'll deal with it another time. And yeah, check me out on Etsy with my digital art. Also have a coffee with free resources, and I stream on Twitch Mondays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. or Thursdays at 7:30. So I hope to catch y'all over there or in another one of my videos. Peace.